And they can now hear us. Hello everyone, welcome back to Fangame Marathon. With me I have Shinsa, doing a run of Amapani with commentary gamercal. Introduce yourselves, even though I just did.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Shinsa. Today I'll be running Amapani version 1.2, and on comms I have gamercal.
Hi, I ran this game a long time ago on version 1.06, so bit of difference with the stuff here. We'll go over that as we need to, but I believe you have some character stuff you wanted to look at first, right? Before we get properly started?
So yeah, just to go quickly, brief introduction, because things go by really quickly at the start. So, you know, Amapani is a 2D platformer Toho fan game developed by Desunoya, and it was released in 2013. As you can see here, we have Alice, Marisa, Patchouli, and Nitori, our 4 playable characters. I'm just going to quickly hop into this stage and kind of just explain all these 4 characters here, and then we'll be going right away with the speedrun. So real quickly here, each character has a bit of a speed and weight tier to them. For example, Marisa has 3 stars for her speed and 1 star for her sort of weight tier. Our main form of movement is going to be something called a broom bounce, and what it does is that it effectively takes the speed of your broom dash ability like this, and it allows us to basically go fast throughout the level. Hopefully I can just show it off quickly.
There are some interesting quirks with this from
I didn't quite get
I
it.
used to run as well, because the broom in later versions has a startup delay to it as well, so you actually do have to time this probably even more precisely than what it used to be, which is already kind of hard to do, because you do actually get stopped immediately when you open this up. So in the past it used to just be a straight air dash, but now you really have to focus on getting this to work out. So the idea is that we're essentially trying to, I would say, clip off the corner of the enemy and be able to, basically maintain the faster speed that the broom has, because it's in a bit of a parabola. You have a really fast opening bit, and then it trails off very quickly. But if you can bounce off of an enemy before the actual slowdown happens, you don't slow down. So you just get to run even faster through the stage than you could normally move.
Yeah, exactly.
Very important. Very important for this version, because Marisa's actually slower here than she used to be, because nobody else used to be able to keep up in multiplayer, and it was a problem. So, yeah.
Yeah. Going into our next character here, Alice, she can jump just a teensy bit higher than Marisa. She can also deflect bullets with her shield like this, and her other ability is to throw a Shanghai doll. So yeah, we'll be seeing her 2 times throughout the run, and that does it for Alice.
Patchy. You can also
Patchy,
use that shield in the air as well. Is quite useful to note.
Yeah, correct. We also have Patchy here. She just very floaty. She can also throw a fireball and then throw the saw upwards. Fortunately, we won't be seeing her along with...
No, there's one stage where she's like kind of okay, but she is the only character who can actually gain a tiny bit of height from her mid-air hop. So there is like one trick in one level that she can kind of do, but it's a bit difficult to implement, and it's not even all that much faster. So
yeah, my mistake. Yes, correct. So that pretty much covers it for Patchy. And then Nitori here, she can fly with your helicopter, and she can use this grappling arm to collect stuff.
Yeah, that helicopter wasn't in the version I played in the past. This was something that was introduced to give everybody 2 skills. It was something introduced in Amapani that ended up getting backported here for this version of the game. So,
all right, I think that basically covers it. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into the speedrun here. So starting from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. With the wrong character, great start.
I should have said because it does actually default to keeping the character that you last played even through save files and whatnot. Yeah, so first level, we do have a couple of different places we could go for the broom bounce. Unfortunately, it's a little bit tricky to do. It does save about 5 or 6 seconds, I think, probably slightly more on this version because of the movement speed. But it's just one of those things. We are going to miss them a lot, simply because of how difficult it is to actually get. I've never been able to work out exactly how far we need to, like how precise it is for this, but yeah, game is very small in that aspect. Like, the sprites are all very small, so you've got to hit a small area on small characters. It's just like, we'll try for it, but if we don't get it, so be it. As a result, a lot of these will just have some fairly basic platforming going for the opening stages, but I think this next one, we do have a bit of a trick to go for here. See if we've picked it up. Yeah, there we go. Just seeing it on my own side now. There's a broom bounce that we get there. You managed to get the whole way across as well. It's very good. It's not always guaranteed that you're going to make that last jump there, and you might have to just cancel the momentum of the broom anyway. So, yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, in this stage, it's pretty standard, so we're just kind of making our way over to the end here.
Yeah, this actually was one tiny bit just before the midpoint that I've just like sort of looking at is because the broom has a startup delay in this version, you don't actually want to use the broom dash across the gap like I would for it here. Yeah, there's a few different places we can get a broom bounce in this stage. It's not actually the fastest one to get the first one, but it is the one that you would consistently get. The reason it's not is, as I'm sure we'll see as we get through, there's moving platforms halfway through the stage that we have to stop for here, and if we get a later broom bounce in this stage, we actually can use the momentum to just jump over the blue platforms just before the midpoint, and it's technically faster, but good luck convincing me to do that in the middle of a run, you know? So then we get to our boss stage. Here's a little bit of a difference on this one, just because of the nature of the boss itself here. But the stage itself is pretty straightforward. There's not a ton to worry about here. There's a couple of potential bounces that don't save a ton of time, but then again, most of them kind of don't. It's fine. There are books as like collectibles during this as well. If you want to do a 100% run, then that's the way that you would go for it. Nice getting the bounce there. I think that just, on this version, that lets you kind of get ahead of the fairy there, doesn't it? So...
Yeah. Allows me to get past those bullets.
Yep. So the boss here, very slightly different from before, because this second phase that went by just immediately... didn't quite get the thing. If you can get like a specific damage boost if you're precise in the middle and just like kill that last pendulum like really quickly. Yeah, in this version, for some reason the pattern is different, and it's a lot easier to do that boss fight than what it is for me, so...
Yeah, they changed it up slightly.
So we didn't... Oh, wow, nice getting over the top. One thing that kind of makes the broom bounce work here, it's kind of worth noting, is that the enemies actually will immediately bounce you up if you, like... if they hit your feet at any point, even if you're in the middle of taking damage. So there's a couple of strange places like that green like bouncing bunny at the start of 2-1 where you can actually sort of go ahead and basically damage boost through it when it bounces into you. That can be kind of neat, but didn't quite get the bounce there. That is fine. Just got to make sure that we don't get hit in silly ways. There's a couple of things with the energy here actually, like if you are at less than 2 health, the blue stars down the bottom, you actually can't use your specials whatsoever, so we can't use the broom. If you are at 3 energy, you actually, or 3 health, the max health, you actually have more energy and you can use stuff like more easily with that, you know, charge it up faster, so... Luna over here, not really too bad to do, just make sure that you don't let her run away from the screen pretty much. If you ever see pausing at the end of boss fights, by the way, it's because skip text is on the same button as pause, so we need to wait for the text to happen, but it's also just kind of, unfortunately, like, blocked in that way, so sometimes accidental pauses will happen. And we did get a broom bounce on this one, but that is okay. This stage is very different, I think, between the two versions, because I go for a bounce off of the bouncing bunny, actually. And I think because of the startup delay and the slower speed, it's a little bit too tricky to do that here.
Yeah, so I have to switch it to the fairy instead.
Yeah. So now we get to the next of our boss stages here. There's a couple of ways through this maze. It's mostly fine either way round. Doesn't really matter too much so long as you go down the bottom bit here. It's all good. The enemy types, I should maybe mention, the different fuzzies have different properties and stuff here. These cyan ones will jump if they see you jump, and their height is dependent on where you are in the game, basically. Some of them will jump higher than others. Here for Sunny, we're wanting to make sure that we don't, well, we don't let her get too far ahead, but we don't want her to go ahead and go too fast here, so we did have to slow down a bit to get it to kind of stop. And then here, we're going to hit and then bounce off the spring and then get the third hit here, because otherwise she's going to go way up the top and it loses like 20-30 seconds or something. It's kind of ridiculous. If you let her get too far, by the way, there are spikes at the top of the screen that will insta-kill you, so don't let her get away too much. Yep, Yukari's in this stage. They're the thwomps of this game, definitely taking it easy on their little platforms up there. This is a good time to show the speed difference here with this version. I think that skip actually is a bit easier to do from the first thwomp in this room. But unfortunately, Marissa is too slow to run underneath the Yukari there in this version, so you know, we have to take the damage boost. Yeah, just showing the broom like delay in oh, you're going for it anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
For the patchy enjoyers.
Yeah. So there is actually a strat involving the red and green fairies there where you can use those to, and Patchy's slightly floaty jump, the fact that she can gain a little bit of height in order to actually skip over the waiting for the platform there. But it is very tricky. Oh no!
Yeah, unfortunate. It's fine.
Oh man. Yeah, so there's a way if you bounce off the two in succession that you get a lot of height off the green fairy, and you can just use the little floaty extra height that Patchy gets to get up there in one quick shot. And that's how you save time in the stage with her. Patchouli's kind of decent in the next sort of segment as well, just being able to preemptively take out enemies and whatnot, because you can fire upwards. She was the only character in version 1.06 that had 2 attacks, and I think that's why everybody else got one. Like, Alice got the doll, Marissa does have pots to like explode stuff with now, but they're just kind of impractical for a lot of stuff in the game, unfortunately, but it wasn't really designed with that in mind, so it's fine. So yeah, the first of many auto-scroll sections in here, unfortunately, but it's fine. Just got to make our way up, dodging the bullet stuff. The hitboxes are generally pretty generous in this game. Didn't mention before, these green fuzzies are basically your Koopas of the game. They will act as shells if you hit them. And yeah, you can do some silly bounce stuff off of them as well. So we will probably see one of those in World 3 get put to good use. And, oh, yep, just getting through. So, Star tends to go in, like, a random direction and will end up being sort of invisible here and trying to shoot you a bit, and that's more or less it. You can use the broom as an actual weapon here if you're using Marissa, and it does quite a lot of damage. You can also just shoot it with fireballs and stuff as well if you want to go long range, so sometimes that helps as well. Alright, this one, I think the broom bounce here is a fair bit more difficult than it was in 1.06, because basically you have to wait and get it on the rise, rather than just trying to hit it off of this first fairy when it's going down the screen. Yeah, they're not easy to hit, but thankfully this game also does have very quick restarting, so if you know that you're not going to make it, you don't have to wait to fall into a pit or something. These brown fuzzies over here cannot be interacted with at all, they will just damage you if you hit them, so good pattern for it that time. They can actually be kind of awkward. And yeah, this is the combined fight, I suppose, coming up in this stage. A couple of different ways of tackling this one. We can, especially with free power, we can, as you saw, use the extra energy there, the faster recovery of it too, in order to get over there a little bit quicker. One thing to note, energy charges faster when you're running on the ground as opposed to in the air, so there are times where you'll want to make sure that you have enough running speed, you know, for stuff that way. It seems like you got a pretty decent hand with the fairies there. They can just kind of get away from you if you're not careful, and it's, especially in the old version, it was hard to track them down because they didn't have the circle around them for, like, this is where the boss is type of thing. Okay, good use of the shell there. Nice bounce there. That's good stuff. Yeah, wisp bouncing is a little bit awkward, so have some invisible blocks over here. We're going to be seeing quite a bit of that in here because we are in the bamboo forest after all. That tends to be the thing for it. Just making sure we're a little bit careful around this, I like to call it the hammer fairy because, you know, it's basically what she's doing. And yeah, free too. Fun fact, you can actually like jump from midair at the start of the thing here, and you can jump through that that first bit if you're like you start in the ceiling for whatever reason, and you can jump through the ceiling there. It's pretty silly. Yeah, just have to hit a couple of switches, and that lets us get over without having to worry too much about the yellow switch there. So it's not too bad. And then, yeah, just a little bit of that nice broom getting across there. A little bit of RNG to look out for here. Not really too big of a deal this time, which is good. Yeah, this game never got a translation, unfortunately, but there's not really much to worry about. I think the general synopsis of this one is that you had your item stolen by someone, we didn't know who, and so all four of our pro tags here had something stolen from them, and they want to go and track it down, and track down who stole them. Here we do get the hit. That's pretty good. This green fuzzy can knock out some of the enemies going down here. I think this one is quite a different looking stage compared to what it is in 1.06 because the speed really does make a difference here. I know Shinsa's going to do a reset here for pattern manipulation to get the fairy or the bunny to be in a decent pattern. Unfortunately, the mace throwing is RNG, so there are times where it's just going to get in the way and there's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah. Yeah, I can imagine this would be pretty hard to update being an old game, yeah. There's broom bounces you can do off of that bunny here to save a bit of time, but it is very awkward to set up. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, just a little
don't fall down there.
Yeah, we don't want to fall down there.
Right, welcome to the start of the cutscenes. Alright, so Tay is a little trickster, little sneaky sneak, and so this entire thing is like a 2-minute, like, it's like, hey, you only gotta hit her once, what's the worst that can happen, right? No, this stage is a troll, and everything here is designed to be like, haha, got you sort of moment, right? You've got the transparent blocks that don't actually do the thing. Sometimes they do, though, and they're like a spring or whatnot. Red spikes are insta-kill if you get hit by them, so don't get hit by them, obviously. As you can see, these enemies are on an invisible platform over here. The stars are also like fired out in RNG patterns. It's not going to matter for this stage, but a couple of the auto-scrollers like 4-1, it can be kind of problematic when they get in the way. There's a 1-up on that switch. That's totally something we should get, right? What could possibly happen if we hit that switch, huh?
I don't know. Surprise.
One actual funny thing to note with stuff that way, if you're, at least in 1.06, I've never tried it in this version, if you are in the middle of taking damage and you're being like pushed up by a platform or something, you can just go straight through the ceiling, right? Because you can go straight through the ceiling if you get pushed up by a platform and it goes through anyway, but you don't take, if you're in iframes, you don't take damage from the spikes either, so it's just kind of funny. There was one, I think it's 4-2, that I was really hoping to be able to use that in, but it just takes too long to actually get up on the roof in order to skip the first part of the stage. So, yeah, these springs have got different weights to them, so the ones that are underneath, that under the red spikes on the ceiling will actually spring you up into them. But the last one is like, haha, got you, we're going to make it a small one so that it doesn't, small jump so that you don't thingy in. So, yeah, last little fairy there, and then, oh, hey, look, there's Tay, you should go kill her. That's totally how this works, right? Yeah, there's a pit on the bit there. It's like, yeah, she's got invisible blocks in front of her, and there's the pit. It's like, what a little sneaky. Yeah, and if you let her run away, there's insta-kill spikes on the other side as well. 3-6. This one is very different, I think, between the two thingies, because the speed really does make a big difference in trying to skip this stage. This is supposed to be an auto-scroller, but you can bypass all of it if you are, careful with it. So, good stuff with that. We'll take the safety save here, because this last section is not exactly easy to do. So, we'll keep that. Oh, yeah, I don't think you can still do it if you don't have the broom. So we do need to make sure that we keep that around.
There we go.
So we go there. Yep. Fantastic. Yeah, that bit's, like, it's not the hardest thing in the universe, but it's certainly a tense section to do. And you really don't want to have to redo the first part there. So yep, so now, like I said, auto-scroll serious. The one problem with this is the first half of this is, like, mega intense, and then there are so many auto-scrollers in the last, like, 2 and a bit worlds. It's fine, it's just, like, man, you know, interspersed with all the intensity that we have here is the world's slowest auto-scroller. It's okay, the second half of the stage does have something that's worth noting, so there is that.
Yeah, in the meantime, we just get to relax and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, this is one of, like, I will say not all of the auto-scrollers are trivial, especially the World 5 ones are actually kind of tricky to do, so it's not as if it's not as if there's no challenge to it. It's almost like SMB3 Air Force, right? And for the last part, after you get past the hand stages and then you've got to go through the flying ships and stuff there, that's a genuinely difficult auto-scroller, so it does happen, but just not super often. There we go. So now we need to bounce off of the black bunny here at the top of its height so we can get over. Yep. It's not possible, unfortunately, to broom bounce off of that one because you don't get enough height for it. So one thing I hadn't mentioned, actually, is seeing the difference here is you have to actually wait a bit longer at the end of each of these stages as well for the... because there's a little animation thing, I guess, that's like stage cleared sort of played bit, but I don't remember having to do that.
Yeah, you could skip it in the older versions.
Yeah, so that also adds a bit of extra time here. The stage, not really too bad, you just got to work out what switches you need to hit when. If you mess up, there's always the spikes to be like, yeah, okay, you can restart with that. There's a broom bounce that can be done here, but it's a little bit tricky, so it's all good. The puzzle in that, there's one other stage that does that too, but we'll get to that later on. Here, there is a very tricky broom bounce time, which you did get first try. Nicely done. This took a while for me to work out, actually, that you could even do that. This stage is supposed to be like 4-6 in SMB3, where there's 2 different versions of it, and you need to go between them in order to clear the stage. But if you get that bounce and you can maintain the speed going all the way through, you just get it in one go, which is really good. Raisin over here. The funny thing is, the enemy icon that was added to 1.2 here is actually on the fake raisins. They are not the ones that you need to hit there, which I thought was very amusing. Now to World 4, there is a broom bounce you can do immediately off of that big blue fuzzy there, but it is really difficult both to do and maintain. Very tough strat to pull off, but
yeah,
looks
definitely
super cool if you can do it though.
Hey, got it.
Oh. Good stuff, good stuff. Right underneath him, yeah, nice. So this is one of the auto-scrolls where it definitely is kind of worth taking out the enemies going for, because it's a very slow one, but it is a diagonal scroll, and it's slow enough where they tend to get a second shot as well. So sometimes the bullets really will just kind of get in the way, because they're slightly faster than the scroll, as you can see the stars and stuff moving over there. So this one is one of the few where it's like, yeah, I genuinely would just like take out a lot of the enemies here. There's a few that do that actually. World 5 has got another one that's like fast shooting stuff that you really just want to get rid of. Oh,
got hit by off-screen star here.
Yeah. like I was saying, that's the sort of reason that because the bullets persist for a long time, so it can make it tricky to get to the end like as fast as possible. Because clearly, being an auto-scroller, the only way you can speed it up is by getting to the end as soon as you can. Here we get introduced to platforms that go up and down when you land on them. The red ones will drop, the green one will rise. And this is the one where if you take a damage boost off the start at the very top here, you can get over the ceiling at the top, but it's just too slow to instead of doing this way. Neat little trick for the puzzle there. They've been having to hit the shell basically onto the platform, indicating that the enemies can also interact with it. That's just like, it's a fun bit. It's a bit slow for the run, but it's a fun little like puzzlerino type of thing. Now we get the Great Descent down here. There's going to be, yeah, the brown ones over the other side, so we can't interact with them, but we can knock out all of the other ones, which is fine. And then we're going to have to climb up afterwards as well, same sort of bit, just there's going to be a wall of insta-kill spikes that we just have to wait to get to the top of. You have a funky method of doing the stuff with that, so it's just making sure internally you could just be like, yeah, do what you need to do with it. And now this is another one I think that's affected quite a bit by the movement speed, because especially the second half of this one is a lot trickier to get through in the appropriate time. Because we have to race these fairies down. We do not want to get caught in... They're all aim shots. We don't want to get caught in the middle of them. So we have to just kind of race it along. And the fact that if you're just a little bit slower makes it a lot harder to go ahead of the one that's at the end of the screen there. Now we get to the mid-boss stage. This is a maze stage for sure. There's a bunch of different like pathways. There's only really one correct one to do, but there's a bunch of different ways to go round. And once you figure it out, the book is on a completely different pathway on this one. There is technically a broom bounce that could be done if we had the energy there, but it is very difficult. It doesn't really save a lot of time anyhow. This last bit's kind of funny because it's like, which door do you want to go in? You count the blue fuzzies, and it's how many blue fuzzies there were is the correct door to go in. Yoshika, you have a very different way of doing this compared to what I was able to do with this, so why don't you take this one?
Yeah, so I have to kind of line up Yoshika in a certain way, so that way I can hit her back and forth here. Just get her like that. I'm going to turn around here and bring her back over on this side so I can get her here for one, and then I'm going to go back around again because she's going to stop right about here. And then I can get the last two hits here. She's going to throw these kunais in just a moment, but we'll get the second hit before that actually gets us. And there we go.
Yeah. Also, canonically, this is why we have to use the blue hat Marissa in this game, because Yoshika stole our hat. So, yeah. Alright, 4-5. This one introduces switches that interact with the stuff here. So if we were to hit that first switch, then all of those brown fuzzies we broomed over would work out. You can jump through the platform in this version. I actually did not know about that before, and that is not something you could do in 1.06. So... It's kind of funny just seeing the platform actually just be like a suggestion there rather than anything else. It is possible to avoid hitting the switch at the top here, but it is just a little bit trickier, and maybe you could do it with the bomb as well. Because one thing, like, there is the secondary like weapon that Marissa has here, but she needs free power in order to use it, so it's unfortunately not too applicable in most cases here. Yeah, if you run out of fuzzies there, you cannot get through that section. So, yeah, this is all about the switches enabling you to do stuff, more or less. Like, the Yukuris won't drop unless you ding them down, hit the switch. So, it's all good. Now, pure auto-scroller, there is no extra bit to this one, so there's a lot of power in this stage, which is always interesting.
Yeah, it's super
really
generous.
Yeah, really, it's just a matter of don't go down too quickly here, because you can go a little bit below the screen, but you don't want to go too far down. You also don't want to end up like being too lazy and just getting caught at the top, though. Especially if you're trying to get the book in this one. You see the book's over on the left-hand side there. You use springs to get to it, but if you're too slow, then you actually can die by being too high up on the screen as well. So... Just got to be a tiny bit careful. If you've not dropped down to the bottom before the screen starts moving this way, good luck, because you're going to get squished, but that's fine. Yeah, it's nothing really too dangerous in this one. These red bunnies are kind of interesting, just having these like boomerang shots going for them, and yeah, we want to be off screen to get the end goal there as quick as we can, so not too bad. 4-7, this one's a tight time limit stage, was the main idea. Very difficult on the hands for the second section here. There is a broom bounce on 1.06 off of those bunnies there, but it doesn't really save much time anyway, because you gotta let go of it pretty quick. And here, we haven't really talked too much about the air dashing mechanic here. You can do downward-based air dashes, so either straight down like we do in this part, or diagonal downwards. And the diagonal ones help to maintain speed because you get to go at your full tilt like pretty quickly. Oh, that's unfortunate. But straight down ones here are really useful for basically just centering yourself and not having to worry about momentum. There is a skip if you've got health that you'd be able to do to avoid taking the third of the springs there, but yeah, if you don't have 2 health, then you're obviously going to die taking damage boost, so we don't do that. Alright, now you've got a very different setup for this stage than what I had. We both use Alice for this because the fight, the Yoshika fight is miserable if you don't use Alice, the Yoshika Sega fight. But you have a very different way of approaching this section. It's funny because you would have actually got it the way I did before doing that. So, not quite getting over. Okay, yeah. So my idea with this, what I don't think Alice has got any physical differences here. So I think it's more just a playstyle thing. When I did this one, I was able to diagonal dash off of the lower of those 2 green fuzzies, take a hit off of the spikes, and then diagonal dash to get my speed back up and land on the platform. But you've developed a different way of going, like, basically going over the spikes instead here.
Yeah, because it kills all your momentum if you go through the spikes in this version, so I have to kind of go over it. Unfortunately, at this point, it would have been faster to just take the green platform, but I'll still try and show it off here.
It do be that way sometimes.
So
we did at least get to see the whole, like, that blue fuzzy ended up going, oh, unfortunate. Like, the blue fuzzy ended up cancelling your hit stun was one good thing to show. I was trying to explain that before, but it's a good way of showing it here, is that, yeah, that's the main way of getting across.
I think I'm just going to take it normally this time. It's unfortunate, but...
yeah.
So
clearly Marissa is a lot easier to get through this part of the stage with, but then you've got to do the Sega fight with Marissa, and you will see why we want Alice for that part. It's just, it is technically slower, but it is unbelievably dangerous to do this with Marissa, so... yeah. So it's one of those things. This game has its moments of really difficult tricks going for it, and this is absolutely one of those stages. There's a lot of invisible block stuff in the second half as well that we do kind of just why we're navigating in what looks like the weirdest way possible getting around here. Yeah, I wasn't even sure that Alice could make that jump initially, but with the forward dash momentum, you actually can. Don't worry about it, dude. It's fine. This stage is really difficult to do, so...
yeah, it's going not the way I want it to, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. This is one of the toughest, the tougher tricks to do in the game, getting over this bit. It's like this in 3-6 initially as well is also a really difficult one, the first platform skip that we do. This one is really tough to handle, so... again, no... oh, no worries with that. Yeah, so we can do just a nice little showcase of the dual shield and stuff as well, being the more, if you do have free power, you just have more energy for it, so you end up being able to take more hits with it, which is always good. Yeah, there we go. So then the second half of the stage is a vertical like pit sort of thing for it. There are plenty of power icons that you can get as well, which is fine. And now we get to the Sega fight. And so we do have Yoshika here. If you do shell Yoshika, that's one thing. You can't jump on Yoshika. You do have to use the shells for it. And yeah, Sega can kind of just spawn in random spots and be really annoying to deal with. The shells do bonus damage, but it's just like good luck actually hitting her with it. And yeah, you can see the main thing is that we use the shield in the air so we can block bullets and just like jump on her as much as we can, which is good. We do probably want to try and keep a couple of the fuzzies like in stun mode, because they don't really go unstunned, because we have to hit Yoshika a couple of times before Sega will actually reappear at this point. I think this is another thing that's slightly different. I saw in your practice video that you actually were down at the very bottom of the screen and able to hit Yoshika, but that was not something I remember being able to do in 1.06. You doesn't go that low down, not often enough anyway, so
yeah,
this is actually really helpful, because now you get to just be there, and Sega will just appear again, and this bit is hell to do with Marisa. Like, the rest of it you could probably just about do with tanking, but that last section is just ridiculous to try and do. Right, 5-1, where the general difficulty ramps up a bit here. Yeah, the slower speed prevents you from kind of getting through that without face tanking, unfortunately, because it is possible in 1.06 to do that, but it's fine. Everyone else going pretty good here. And then we have our second section, fast shots to dodge around, nicely done. And then we have just a little bit, we can clip off the side of the springs and stuff for just being a little bit faster at times, but yeah. Alright, the big skip in this world is you're supposed to use switches to go up and down this one. There's like a switch directly below the center bit there where you're supposed to make the platform rise again. But one of the big skips here is that you can actually just completely avoid doing that by bouncing off the pogo bunnies there. And that allows you to avoid 2 iterations of this really slow platform going up and down. We hit the one switch here so we can get it to go back up. And then there are fairies which will track your position here that we can bounce off of in order to get up to the top of this section. And that skips us having to hit the final switch, which would bring the platform back down again. You don't want the platform to go too high here, because even if you're going for that book, because there are insta-kill spikes at the top of the screen. This was the stage that I discovered that you could like clip up the top of the screen, and then you just actually can't go anywhere. It's funny. Right, invisible block enemies at the start there. I don't think it comes up too often within this stage. There's a couple of places, but they actually have a different property between 1.06 and 1.12 here as well, where they're solid until they actually spawn their enemy. So these ones here, I actually was able to jump through in 1.06. If I was fast enough, I could actually go straight through them. But here, even if you were able to go that fast, they are solid objects until the enemy spawns, so you can't do it. Which means that plus the slower run speed means you can't get here before the shots start coming. And so you have to just kind of go along with the upward shooting projectiles there. Also means that particular thing, you can't just run straight through those. But it does mean you can jump on those blocks, which is something that I wasn't able to do. So there are trade-offs for it. Now we have this invisible block thing into one of our 3 major auto-scrollers within this world. And it's not like the worst one, but there are a couple of places where it gets a bit awkward, especially the cyan fuzzies over here. They do kind of interrupt your stuff if you, as you see, jumping next to them kind of makes them jump. So they can be a bit awkward that way. Yep, little cheeky item down the bottom indicating, yeah, you gotta be careful around this bit. We want to wait for these red platforms, because if we don't, then they're gonna drop down too quickly, and we do have to kind of move across them. Yeah, lots of spawns that happen here. They do appear from a relatively good distance away though, so it's not too hard to get through. And yeah, lots of 1-ups at the end of that stage. I wonder what that could possibly mean coming in, huh? Well, we have a second Ala stage over here, which is pretty good, because, again, Nue is possible to beat with, yeah, spoilers, I guess, but, like, Nue is possible to beat with Marisa, but again, way harder to do. This stage is all about groups of 4 enemies that shoot their very specific projectile types and whatnot here. There is a midpoint that we'll be resetting for the bullet pattern stuff here. And yeah, the idea, I guess, from this bit is that we can use Alice's shield at the top here to quickly get through this section, ideally. We'll see, because it is, yeah, using it in midair to cancel out the stuff, it can be a bit difficult to do, but good stuff. Best music in the game in this section. The final map also has this one fantastic stuff. It's kind of a spam room though. You just kind of hope that you get through, and well, you managed it. That was close.
Yeah, almost got me.
Yeah. So, Nue, the fastest way through this one is to bounce up along as she's rising up, and then use the shield to tank her, and hopefully we stay up. Yep, good job. And yeah, we just kind of bounce as much as we can, and then this last part, yeah, she sends you really far away initially, and it's just a case of bounce up thing. If you use the shield, you can sometimes avoid taking hits, but yeah. And that's the last that we use a non-Marissa character, so on to the last part here. These are quite tough levels in general. Yeah, you've got a slightly different strat for doing that part than what I used to do. It's probably safer, but have to work through that. So yeah, you see the book up there. If we were going for the book stuff, we'd have to collect that as we go. And yeah, this is a safety checkpoint because it's a fast auto-scroller, and this one actually can't kill you. This is one of the most dangerous ones in the game.
Yeah, I've been known to die on this stage sometimes, so taking the safety checkpoint for good measure.
I'm pretty sure I died on this one on record pace before, so I feel your pain. These electric fuzzies will bounce you very high if you land on them. That will come into play in the final stage, actually. I usually like to take these star enemies out and this fairy down here, actually, because the scroll lasts long enough where they actually will get to shoot at you again. And it can be pretty annoying. Like, you see, the hitboxes are very generous, but even at that, like, it can still just interfere with the jump at the exact point that you really want to go through, so it can be very irritating to deal with. So for the next stage, we have another like actual invisible block sort of bit here. Those ones you can stand on immediately, and then there's red spikes there. You don't want to be that. This section is a little bit different because you don't actually have to go and hit the hidden blue switch for the blocks there, since the blocks themselves are the ones that turn into spikes are actually visible, like physical objects beforehand. So
they
you
last
get to
just
skip
long
that.
enough.
Yeah. Whereas here, it ends up being a downside because there's the invisible enemy stuff there. You actually have to wait for those now, and there's going to be a wall of them in a sec that you cannot get through. So yeah, very different sort of segment here. Like, I can just broom straight through this bit, but unfortunately you have to wait because the blocks are solid. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Little bit spooky, but we got there.
We're okay, we're okay.
Yeah, it makes a difference for this last fairy too, because you see the way the pattern goes there, it's you have to see it, like it has to spawn. Yeah, welcome to the Switch Palace. There's there be switches. There's a book at the top there where the blue arrow kind of indicates, but we obviously are not going for that. But that's the big puzzle of this area, is how do you get the switches in the right way in order to get to the book at the top. Yep, hit the spring for extra momentum, and then I know you don't do this. You can actually face tank the spikes and then go broom downward dash, and that gets you through the section just before the midpoint. Here we're looking to bounce off of one of the fuzzies. Didn't quite get there, so we need to use the springs, which is completely fine. And now we've just got one more left. That stage is really hard, by the way. I died there so many times on good runs. Really annoying. Same with this one though, but I think this is one of the few times where the movement speed actually might help you out here. You see the entire floor is like ice blocks that will crumble, so you cannot really wait on this stage, which is the tricky bit. But the movement speed actually generally works out very well for you on this this part, where you can actually go through the Maze Bunny stuff much more easily than I could. And yeah, this stage is tough. Like in all sections, this stage is a doozy. So We are in the last one, though. You would expect it to get hard at this point, right? Especially for a Decino game.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This is, like, the mother of all auto-scroll stuff here, because it's just so many projectiles going all over the place. There's so much going on in this section that you just have to be careful of. Thankfully, you can stand where the stars are sort of firing there. You can just kind of get away with that, so it's not too bad. There's a really difficult book coming. That's probably the hardest general book to get in the game here. You bounce off of the electric fuzz thing there, get the book, and then you've got to try and just like catch up again with the auto-scroller. There will be there's thankfully a lot of power-ups in this bit, so it's fairly viable to tank a lot of the stuff, but you just got to be careful not to like accidentally trip into the red spikes and stuff here. And also just keep moving, right? Because the scroll is not exactly slow, and you will end up being in trouble if you don't. These yellow bullets are aimed at you, so you do need to be cautious there. And now we get to the last of the spam bits. Yeah, you reset this for pattern stuff, which is totally fine. Again, movement speed is a bit different, so it's definitely does make a difference in stuff there. Yep, gotta go hit the switch. There's one thing with these enemies, like if you wait long enough, the wisp enemies will eventually burn themselves out. You have to wait a very long time for it, so obviously in a speedrun it's not gonna work, but you can wait them out in real terms, which I thought was very funny. New background actually for this final bit too. There wasn't like a stage set for this one. It was more just the sky drop. We have to hit the head first, and then the snake tail, and then the head again for the 3 sections here. Normally it's too high to hit from the bottom from the ground, but when she rears up to do her attack, you actually can hit from there. And basically we've just got to try and wait for the cloud stuff to spawn. We have to wait a couple of cycles here to get across, because the tail's on the other side. The only platform that works to get to it is the one that spawns right here, and now we have to just unfortunately wait for the cycle to kind of go through here, which is a bit of a shame, but it is how it be. One thing with this, you don't want to bounce off the top of the head or the top of the hitbox where possible, because that will actually bounce you very high into the air. You want to kind of just like work on the side of the hitbox here, so that you can get as many hits as possible in quick succession. Doing a very good job with it here. I never quite managed to count exactly how many hits the stuff was here, but I want to say it's about 16 for this final phase.
Alright, time is now.
Yeah. Good. GG's. Yeah, that claw attack can actually damage you, but it's only mostly if you're on the ground. So, yeah, and then we beat her up, and then Bjarkarin comes in and probably says something like, "You got what you deserved," and then she cries because, you know, there we go.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my headcanon anyway. GG's!
Yes, GG's.
Well done.
Thank you, thank you.
And thank you for that great run. I'm glad it looks like a lot of people enjoyed it. A lot of people liked seeing the game. So thank you very much for coming on and showing it off.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, just very quickly, thank you once again, gamercal, for commentating. It was a pleasure having you. And also thank you to Fangame Marathon for allowing me to run Amapani today. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the marathon.
Have a good one, guys. Thank
you very much. All right, next we'll be setting up for Sudoku block, and I'll transition over and I'll head over to, you'll hear from me again in a couple seconds. So stay tuned.